Good morning, respected Director Ma'am, Dr. Jessie John, Deputy Director Ma'am, Dr. Tarjani Goel, a prestigious Chief Speaker, Mr. Oby Mathew Varghese, sir, all the respected faculty members, and my dear friends. I, Nana Singh, welcome you all in the Alumni Talk Series Rendezvous. Alumni Talk Series is a program run under the Alumni Association of FMS IRM, in which we wholeheartedly welcome our reputed alumni to connect and share their valuable views with us. Following the pattern, it will be my immense pleasure to introduce the chief speaker for today, a prestigious alumnus of batch 2001 and 3, Mr. Oby Mathew Varghese, sir. He was the gold medalist of his batch. Sir is an FMCG professional with 17 years of industry experience. He was former division manager for food and laundry division at Alalia Group, and in addition was the marketing head for the French bakery division La Bru, which has 35 bakeries in UAE. During his stint in UAE, he also represented as a trade consultant for various countries wishing to operate a business with UAE, and has traveled to more than 10 countries across the world for training and business opportunities and trade missions. It's a privilege of ours to have you here, sir. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Tarjani Goel, ma'am, Deputy Director, FMS IRM, for the welcome address.
Very good morning. Louder. Very good morning to the students, to the guests, to the eminent speaker, Mr. Oby, and this Madam President, who has given us the opportunity, Director Ma'am, Oby Mathew sir, who has joined us again. I mean, it's a pleasure, sir. All the faculty members and staff members. I think it is a moment of pride when actually you find a person who sits here on this side, that is where you people are, comes to the stage and addresses as your alumni. He has achieved a great stature, and that is why, with keeping this in mind, we have invited him to address you and to share his experience with you. I understand it's a moment where I think Mr. Oby would also be feeling nostalgic, and it would have been great honor of us if he would have been present here in person. But nevertheless, I welcome sir virtually and take this honor and privilege to welcome him and introduce him to our young managers. I would not take much of your time and would request Mr. Oby for his address.
Good morning to all of you. I just want to make sure that I'm audible. And you all can hear me.
Oby, you are very much audible. Yeah, go ahead.
Respected Professor Barbara Kangan, Director Jessie John, the so kind of the welcome speech by Dr. Tarjani Goel, and all the respected faculty who are present there from IRM, my colleagues who have joined here, and all those people present here. It gives me immense honor and pleasure to come here and address you all people. It takes me way back. Almost 18 years back, I had graduated from this college. And I'm very proud to say that it's indeed a great honor. It's indeed a wonderful moment to share the stage today and address you all people. I will not take much of the time because I've been given a limited time. I would like to keep it as brief as possible. At the same time, I will always say that once I finish, because this is more of a Zoom, in order to maintain the flow, I will present, and then after that you have questions, you are free to share. IRM indeed has been a wonderful vision for a lot of people who have passed from here. I remember the days when we had joined there and Dr. Thomas Kangan was the main visionary behind this college. A lot of what you see today has been the sole efforts of Dr. Thomas, and of course, ma'am, Dr. Barbara Kangan has been instrumental in making what IRM is today, as well as the many people who are there. My due respect to all the directors and the faculty who have been here, who are making sure that this college stands out and makes a way for many, many visionaries and leaders of tomorrow. I will start the screen sharing. Just a second. I'll just share. Just a second. Give me a second if I. Just a second. Can you see the screen?
Yeah, Oby.
You can see the screen?
Yeah, we can see the screen.
Okay,
Yes.
fine. Just a second. I'm sorry for that. Just give me a minute. Okay, we all come from different backgrounds, and today's topic, what I would like to share is what they don't teach at B school. You know, I think most of us would like to, you know, come with a lot of aspirations, lot of, you know, they come with a lot of visions, lot of dreams, you know, and it is very important to understand what I will get or achieve once I finish the MBA, you know. Everything is good when, you know, the normal, we all come. The first thing that strikes is, of course, I finish the MBA, I get a good job. I get a good money. That's what we all want. Finish, let's be realistic and practical. This is what we want, a good job, a good money. And then you have what? A good partner. Many of the, when we see a lot of, you know, the ads, matrimonial ads that you see that this is mentioned as one of the, you know, basic qualifications or whatever you call it is, you know, it is the what is there in your mind and what you want to, what goes inside you. And of course, a good place to work, fantastic office atmosphere. This is what we all come and want to cherish. But then why do we do MBA? I mean, I know you all know the answers, you know, but why do we do the MBA? You see, there has been a history of workers over each generation let's take, say, 30 years before, say 1980 or 85. If somebody wanted to join, say, a sales trainee or an entry level in an FMCG company, I take the example of FMCG, a good graduate was the basic qualification that they would have been looking for. But over the years, what has happened is, as we have taken MBA, they want people who are qualified with the basic level, of MBA. So the history of workers over each generation has changed that, There is analytical thinking. We are all supposed to think analytically. That is what makes you difference between the ordinary graduates and the ordinary people, or the normal graduates who may be extraordinary, definitely. But MBA is teaching you that analytical edge over others. How one encounters different situations, complex, and resolves them. This is very important to understand. Once we finish the MBA, it is very important to understand that how you resolve crises. What makes an MBA different from others is, given a situation, how an MBA embraces, I use the word embrace because complex solutions or stress things are to be embraced by an MBA guy, and he should resolve them. And where does your business school stand? Let's admit it's a tough competition there. So many graduates are passing out every day. Millions of graduates are passing every day, or they are in the field. And we know, where does your business school stand? You have the top 20 business schools, then the next 20 business schools, the next so and so. With each ranking of each business school that comes down, you are joining at a different level in that corporate ladder. If you take an IM graduate, and when he finishes, he will join, at a good level, at a managerial level. Even here, when you pass out of IRM, you can also join at a managerial level, but not everybody will get that opportunity. You maybe have to start at a different level before you come to it. So there is that, what I say, an opportunity level. There is an opportunity and availability. This is what one has to be very clear, that why we are doing MBA. Now, coming to the point, what are the things that they don't teach in B school? And I would like to address a few points to most of you to understand what it is. The first point is, create a career graph and a career plan. You finish B school, or you are about to finish the B school, you should have a vision of yourself. I think most of us are very anxious about the present. Most of us are anxious what will happen once we graduate. Most of us are anxious what will happen. One of the questions that when you go for job interviews, they ask is, where do you see yourself in 5 years and 10 years? This question is very much taken with humor. And we think, why are they asking for something that is not going to happen? But it is very, very important that where you are going to finish once you finish. An average MBA guy, when he graduates at the age of 23 or 24, he has to have a clear vision where he starts and where he'll finish after 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, And what I have shown you is that, see, a basic, an organizational chart where a person joins as a business analyst, then he goes into a consultant, manager, principal, this is this organizational chart that And you have to decide the number of years that you have to spend on each position. If you take the example of, say, I would like to give some examples, excellent examples of two of my batchmates. Rana Ugrasein was my roommate in college, and I took his permission before I addressed here. Both of us had started our careers at similar levels, where we had joined after school. I had joined as a sales executive in Coca-Cola, Hindustan Coca-Cola beverages. And then we progressed. See, these are the profiles of Rana. You see the career graph that he has progressed. He decides on the number of years he wants to spend, so 2.5 years. Then he moves to, to GE Capital, GE Money, then to Reliance. Then he moves to ExxonMobil, and then as a regional head for Pernod Ricard India. You see, this is the career graph that we get once you finish. And that's the number of years that you have spent on each. You have to decide. I will say very clearly that the first 5-10 years is about learning. It's not about the position. It's about learning. The first 10 years of your corporate life will be an investment from the companies that are training you for something bigger, much, much bigger. We also have Samrat Day. Samrat Day was one batch junior to me. Again, an excellent guy, See, again, they are not gold medalists like me. They were average students who joined. They were in the top, definitely in the top 30-40 league students, but they had a vision of what their career graph should be. These two people have been in the business circle, corporate circle for quite some time. And you see with Samrat, he joins in the initial years, two years before he goes and, joins and is at present as regional sales head. I know many of the students are wondering about rural management students. We have excellent people who have, IRM is definitely, the USP of IRM is that most of the students pass out as rural management graduates, but you have a good mix of half, I understand. But there is the positioning, and that is where I say the college stands out. There are very few colleges having an emphasis on rural management, after Indian Institute of Rural Management, Anand. So the people who took up rural management in my batch and after that were very serious on what they want to do in life and where they want to join. And I have another wonderful junior of mine, Sarika Saluja. She joined in Kapat as a young professional and went on to different positions. And today she is the general manager of World Toilet Organization, a Singapore-based firm. What I want to say is that people are very clear with the career graphs. Career graphs, unless you don't have a career graph in you will not be able to know where I should stand after a few years. And this is very important, that you be very clear in the next 10, 20, 30 years where you want to join. There are a lot of other candidates. We don't have time. There are a lot of candidates who've joined. Some have become entrepreneurs today. They head their own setups. Most of them have been in the corporate world serving for others. At the same time, you have your own setup. Excellent. Our batch, we had some wonderful people in our batch. The beauty of MBA is different people join from different professions. You have engineers joining. You have, science graduates joining. You have art graduates joining. You have English graduates joining. They all, and imagine the beauty when all of you sit together, solve those things. A particular problem, every different profession guy, when he is at the studying for MBA, thinks in a different way. The same solution, can be thought in a different way. So if you give them a situation, every person, if suppose you give them a situation. Every profession will give a different view. A doctor will give you a different viewpoint. An engineer will give you a different viewpoint. An artist will give you a different viewpoint. We had journalists who joined in our batch. I remember Trina Mitra. She was a journalist who joined our batch and went on to become a head of one of the directors. We have one wonderful batchmates we've had, as well as after us and also above us who had graduated. Know the industry and update with time every new trend. I'm saying this is very important. Today, the MBA that I did 18 years ago is definitely obsolete. It is no longer applicable. Yes, it gives you a basic foundation, but the trends, the industry has witnessed some dynamic changes in the last 2 decades. And let's accept you now have a post-corona, before corona and after corona. Due respect to Christianity, where we say before Christ and after Christ, but now it is before corona and after corona. It's been a landmark time. And the last one year has been turbulent times for a lot of corporate companies. Know the industry, update with time, every new trend. There are so much of changes taking place. And I am saying, please update yourself. Don't be obsessed with the work that you are. Be obsessed with the changes that are taking place. There are a lot of what was happening 10 years before is no longer happening today. There is retail. There are a lot of retail changes taking place, retail dynamism, online dynamism, blockchains, automation, robots, automation, lot is taking time. Look at retail banking, where it has gone to so many levels, from a customer-centric to the growth of social media, to robots, to cybersecurity, two-factor. These are the trends that are taking place every minute. And when you join a different position, when you join the current company to the another company, the companies want to know how updated with you are with the trends that are taking place outside. And it only happens by knowing, analyzing each and everything around you. This is another thing that I want to tell. Once you finish your MBA, and this, what happens is, don't do everything by yourself. We are one of the weaknesses that most of us have is that we want to do everything by ourselves. We are obsessed because we think that unless we do, we will not be able to perform more effectively. You have to do and delegate things as a manager down the line. Delegation is so important. Teamwork is so important. And you are not, there are a lot of things that you cannot do by yourself, because if you start doing by yourself, you will think you are correct, but you will not be able to know the flaws or the reasonings or the problems that you will encounter. So it is very important that you delegate things, you make people, be a part, give them roles. I think even if you feel, one of the biggest threat we feel threatened is that if my colleague knows better than me, or if my colleague gets a share than what I am, no, I think teamwork, my experience has shown that teamwork matters so much, and delegating to others, it is very, very important that we delegate to others. Another favorite topic of mine is sales. Sales is such a wonderful thing in life. And when we talk about sales, it's not about the Eureka Forbes salesman. There is sales in every process around you. Every interaction is sales. Every negotiation is sales. Every meeting that you have with clients is sales. And very most important is get dirty. When I finished my first company, and I owe a lot to Coca-Cola. My first company, when I finished my, I had campus placement, and we were 3 people who were placed in Coca-Cola. Rana is also there, who's listening. When I finished my MBA, my first thing in my mind was, okay, fine, I'll be going to the company office. I'll be having a wonderful. The first day, I was told to wait outside the office room. So I waited outside the GM's office, and I was thinking I'll get a nice swanky office. I will get a nice laptop. I will get a nice, nice audit, everything very nice, mobile, everything will be the state of the art. And I waited 3 or 4 hours. I couldn't see the GM. And finally, the GM arrived at 1 o'clock. He came from outside into the office. And he said, who are you? I said, I'm the new, sales trainee who has joined. And he said, what are you doing here? I said, I've come here for induction. And he said, induction, you don't have to come here. Next 1 month, I don't want to see your face. I want you every day in the morning, sit with the delivery van that leaves at 6 o'clock in the morning, sit with him and go. I was handling at that time, Bikaner district, rural Bikaner. I was told that go to the distributor at 6 o'clock in the morning, sit with him, go to different places all across the rural areas. Every day in the morning, imagine sitting on those, the driver's seat, it's hot, burning hot. We had joined in the month of April. It was hot, very hot. And I never thought so. But believe me, the first 1 month were the most beautiful months that I had. And I owe a lot of what we all today due to that 1 month grassroots level we learned. Coke as well as ITC, you talk of any FMCG companies that are there across, they want any sales guy or any management guy who joins, whether even if he's a manager, they want that you stand on top of those crates when you learn a lot. You learn from grassroots level, because tomorrow, mind you, you are going to head all these sales guys. You are going to be the head of various divisions, and you will know that the sales guy is not fooling you or not cheating you, because you will know the grassroots level very well. Get dirty is what I want to say. When you get dirty, you are unearthing a gold mine in your life. There is no such thing as a perfect business model. A lot of people are very obsessed with business plans, business models, and I'm sure our MBA teaches a lot of business schools talk about case studies, which is very, very important. But let me tell you, you cannot be obsessed with the business models. Now these are some companies who chose to be obsessed with their past. Blockbuster, Toys R Us, Kodak, Compaq. I'm sure when you will learn, I'm not going to waste time, but Kodak and Toys R Us and all, they did not decide to look at the future. They were the pioneers for many years, but they could not cope up with competition. Why? They could not cope up with competition because they did not think ahead. They were obsessed with their business models. They were obsessed with what way they were doing, and they got wiped out. Wonderful companies who have late, but if you're obsessed with your business model, if you're not obsessed with tomorrow, if you're not obsessed with the present, if you're not obsessed what is going to happen, COVID has taught us a lot of things, that how one needs to, those business plans go for a toss, and how one needs to be having an alternate plan. It's very, very important. So there is no such thing as a perfect business model. One has to understand. So in order to understand that, I'm telling, as I was saying, know your industry very well. Know what your customer is wanting. Know what is happening with the latest trends happening around you, and have the vision to do that. Have the vision to implement that. Implement a plan B, implement a plan C. That is why you all are here, not because of what is already existing. It's not about how much you make. It's about how much you save. Salespeople, as well as a lot of people who enter into the corporate people, they feel that it is very important that how much are your business sales targets or sales turnovers. But I always say that it is watered sales. It is watered sales or watered turnover if you do not make money. We see a lot of VBs that take place around us, 50%, 40. Believe me, I'm telling you, when you find, and today it's all about offers to final customers, to distributors, it is so much important to understand that companies bleed when they go with offers. They are not making money. And I am saying, when you are in the corporate life, think that it is your own company and how will you make that company more effective. In the early years of 5 and 10 years, you will be getting a lot of perks, outside tours, outside trips, petrol allowances, taxi allowances, lot of allowances you will get, and you will want to spend maximum of that. I had my boss who I had some wonderful bosses who used to tell me, look, it is not a luxury that you spend that, because the company is spending. Okay, they're trying to make you comfortable so that you don't complain about it. That is why these allowances are, but have a realistic, a thing of saving as much as possible. There can be an outside lunch in a 5-star hotel. There can be an outside lunch in a normal restaurant, and there can be, you have customized restaurants. It's your choice what you spend. They will not say that. They will give you limits, and many of us are fascinated with those bills that have the upper limit. So if you have a 60 dirhams or 100 dirhams benchmark, don't go in making sure that you spend that maximum limit. Get that. It is not about, companies will appreciate doing sales and turnover with savings, not with high expenses. Lot of companies spend a lot expenditure goes into the ad budgets and things, but they expect some loyalty from you, and be loyal to the company that you're working in all these expenses. Customer is not always right, and customer is not always the king. We were taught in our business schools that customer is always right and customer is always the king. Definitely, this statement even stands valid today. But there are a lot of occasions where you will see that you're not driven by what the customer says, but rather what the company offers. For example, if you go to a restaurant, and if I remember, I once ventured into a Italian restaurant for the first time, and there were a lot of when I went there, I was I had the menu in front of me, and 90% of the dishes I didn't know at all. So I had to take the advice of the wonderful service provider or the waiter who was there, who gave me an absolute detail by detail analysis of what the various foods are and how it can help at this time. And I remember it was more of knowing from the company representative. All of us, when we join the company, what I want to say is that we are ambassadors. We are ambassadors, and being ambassadors, you should know your product very well. You should know very well the products, all your industry, everything you should know, so that you can inform and educate the customer. Many a times customers are ignorant. They are not aware of the trends that are taking place. They are not aware of what it is, taking place. So customer may not always be right. Maybe for a particular time, there are certain dishes in this restaurant. There were certain dishes that I ordered, which was not suitable for breakfast time. It was only suitable for dinner time. So what I want to tell you here is that know your product very well, so that you can train and correct the customer in case he makes a mistake, in case he wants. You are selling solutions to a customer. You are selling a solution to when we all go to customers, we all have a product, but customer is not looking for the product features. Customer is looking at what solution you can provide. I used to work for in the HoReCa industry, the hospitality sector, where I had to meet a lot of chefs and F&B directors, food and beverage directors. There, what used to happen is that the chefs were looking for something and where they could get chopped vegetables or chopped something which was in vacuum packed and ready solution, where they don't have to cut the vegetables. So we had a machine where we could give them a solution for all this. Barakat, the company, was a pioneer, I remember, in starting all this here locally. And there are many examples where companies have focused on providing solutions, rather than selling the product. Sell a solution rather than sell a solution, sell the benefits rather than the product itself. Okay, coming to the point where, customer, this is, again, I go with the example where, where customer does not have that much. I remember when we were working in Coca-Cola, Coke had, one of my managers, when he visited a store, he said that he wanted Pepsi. He asked for Pepsi, and then the shopkeeper said, "Sir, Pepsi hai." And I hope you all understand, in Hindi it says Pepsi hai, lekin sir, Pepsi thanda nahi hai, thanda Coke hai. So the customer here obviously was looking for something very cold. That was his basic inherent need. He said, "Okay, fine, give me Coca-Cola." So he came with a loyalty to Pepsi, and that is why the famous ad of Amir Khan, Thanda Matlab Coca-Cola, was so revolutionary. When you have two brands which offer immense competition and there's very little room of innovation, Coke came with a very great ad at that time where it says Thanda Matlab, and that is here. This is a classic example where customer is not the king. You are the king. The salespeople are the king. The company offerings are the king. They are educating and informing the customer how it makes a difference in what you sell. This I want to say, no, no, it doesn't mean, that you have failed. It means that you should know what not to do it again. In corporate life, I'm telling you, failure is important. Unfortunately, I am saying, unfortunately, we have not been taught about, we have not been taught about failures. I think it's okay to be, it's okay to be second or third in class. It's okay to be 10th in class. It's okay to fail, because you have to decide what you choose in life, whether you fail. And when you fail, it is telling you, look, nothing is closed here. But today, when you are hearing no, don't repeat this process again. Switch over to the next process. And our value systems, our school, our basic upbringings, our parents, we all are obsessed with making our children the #1 rank or the gold medalist in college or school or in class. No, not at all. It is okay to be second. It is okay to be, going before. Volkswagen had this famous punchline: think small. Rather when it had to encounter with bigger cars. It is very important that we fail. Be at the edge of the seat. And when you're at the edge of the seat, it gives more room for innovation, more room for creativity. And I'm telling you, post your B school, you will encounter failures. You will fail with the methods that you have made. you will fail with the strategies that you have adopted. You will fail, and that failure should spring you into making sure that you do not make mistakes again or do that same process again. We have enough. Albert Einstein, Walt Disney, Oprah Winfrey, they all were at times said no, but they came out strongly. So it is whether you have to understand whether the business plan, fail fast, fail often. Fail fast and fail often, make money after a certain time for sure. It is very important. How to deal with people. I think one of the most important thing is dealing with people. I think most of us do not, ignore this fact that people are not important. But one of the biggest things that one can learn is dealing with people. You are aware of the latest case of the Zomato, Zomato and the driver case. How wonderful example it is. How this simple incident that has happened, which was indeed shocking for many of us, and you see the uproar it has caused all across India and worldwide. It is a classic example of how to deal with people, how brand image takes a shot when we feel that how it takes a upward down, when how the brand image comes down because you have not dealt with people very well. It is and when I say people, it is not just your customers, it is your suppliers, it is your final end customers, it is your immediate people, it is your team, the whom you work, it is the customers who come. You are meeting endless people in that supply chain every day, dealing with them. The relationship is very, very important. My dear children, my dear students, my young graduates, you have to understand this very well, that people management is something that you have to keep on learning. And that's where how important is those our boring lectures of organizational behavior or human resource management is, how important they are, how much important they play a role in understanding the psychology, the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. All these things, they are very important to make us deal with people. This will only, once you start dealing, interacting with people, is how you learn every day. You don't get paid for what you are worth. You may be the best. As I said, you may be the best. You may be, you may think that I should get this much today. And many of us feel frustrated when we don't get the desired position probably after some time. But you don't get paid for what you're worth. You get paid for what you negotiate, for what you, and when I say negotiate, it is not just the salary negotiations with the HR. It is the how much value. Before I was telling you a point, how much you save, how much you talk to your suppliers, how much you talk to your colleagues, how much you interact with the different people. Companies are looking at how much at every day you are adding value to them, not what you are or what you had in the past or your baggage. We all are obsessed with the baggages that we carry. And that is very important to understand. You don't get paid for what you are, you get paid for what you negotiate. Negotiation is the most important skill. Negotiation is required at every phase of life. And you have to be very clear on what you want to present. You want to be very clear on what value you bring to the company. Business is built on relationship. With an extension of people, I say that it is very important that we understand the pulse of the people, the relationship of the people. I again come with the example of, rural India, where Coca-Cola and ITC, e-Chopals or Coke came closer to the people. At our time, Coca-Cola made sure that they provided even, the cobblers. I remember the cobblers were given a box, a cold ice box where they could sell. So somebody who's come, when he is getting his shoe repaired, I don't know, today you have cobblers back in India, but that time we had cobblers at that time in different places. Coke made sure that they had an ice box, and when the customer is waiting to get that shoe repair done, he was offered Coca-Cola, which he could pay for a small amount and get. Being connected, the relationship that you paint, Coke painted the town red. They made sure that the weekly mandis were filled with the Coke presence, make your presence. And when you make your presence, there has to be a relationship that takes place, a relationship with the people, relationship with the final people. And you need to have that pulse of the people. Business is purely not based on your aptitude. It is based on the relationship that you have, what you have developed over the years. And the relationship that matters when you join the next level of your career. It is very, very important. And I'm saying, I keep repeating, be in touch with your customers, be in touch with them. Most of us are a little, when we enter this corporate line, when we become managers, we want to be a little far from all these things away. We leave it to our sales guys, we leave it to our juniors. Stand out, have a relationship with them so that they are looking for, that you are connected with them, that pulse is there. So it matters very much on the relationship that you have with these people. Another thing I want to say is constructive criticism and honesty is a master if you want to be happy and not be in this hypocritical politeness. Unfortunately, many of us, as we move on to the corporate circles and office, we are obsessed with making our bosses happy. You should be critical if you think that, something is wrong. And there is a nice way of telling it is wrong. Many a times people will think it is your arrogance, and it is very much important that we understand this term constructive criticism. You have to be a big good critic, and you should compliment things. You should say what is correct. Many of us are reluctant when somebody does something good. We are reluctant to say that he's done a good job, but we pounce on him when he makes a mistake. It is very important on supporting and being critical. And this babu business of yes sir, Haji, it should be done if only you feel it is worth it. And because many of the CEOs that I have met have always told me that if you'll see countless examples, companies have performed well when their employees guide them and advise them. See, in the olden days, we had the king, right? We had the king, and the king had what? A team of ministers. A king was not great in the kingdom because he was an efficient person or he was a warrior. A king was efficient because he had a team of ministers who advised him what was right and what was wrong. Tomorrow, when you enter into the corporate circle, sit with all these people, you have to advise these people, you have to advise your bosses, what is correct. You should always also correct your juniors. Many of us are very much, if the juniors do wrong or, we are silent. Unfortunately, many of us love being silent, being silent observers, but be bold, correct, ask them what is right. It is very important to have that feedback. It is very important to have empathy, respect, questions at all. It is so much important to happen, and it is very much important. Today, we are living in a corporate circle where mental health is so important. One of the most ignored things post-COVID, post-COVID has taught us how mental health is so important, So in order to have a mental health, be constructive. The criticism should be constructive. Nobody cares that you tried, let's be very frank. We all We all are happy to sound and say, look, I tried this, every company that you go outside, nobody is bothered about whether you made it, I told you, failure should not stop you. Keep on trying, results matter. The results matter. Nobody cares that how much you've tried, your ability. Sometimes you're obsessed with the same process again and again, keep making the same mistakes again and again, but we should be, looking at the end results. Office politics, this is something that you cannot avoid. I think that we all feel that office politics does not happen, but it happens. And that is why it is very important. You're far from the office, but there are some, when you're in finance, when you are in the office, when you are at the corporate head, office politics happens. And, there is a lot of things. There's rumors, there is allies, the lies, spying. Language is very important. I have always seen that if you have two people from the same state, say two Mallus together or two Gujaratis together or two, it same happens outside in the corporate world here. We have most of the people that we work with Europeans, we work with Asians, with Chinese or Filipinos. Many of us are happy in speaking in the same language in front of others. It is so rude, very rude. You have to be very careful that when you are in the office, what politics will happen, languages will be different, but they all should assist you in having a wonderful output. Being transparent. There is also a way of saying no and advising. As colleagues, you have to advise and tell them this is not correct. No, so office politics, you should know how to manage. No business school will teach you how to manage this office politics. But I'm telling you, once you join, have respect for others, have respect to the people around you, have respect to the languages. You may be efficient in your own language, but try to speak in a common language there so that people respect you. Business plans are not the same every year. I told this before also, and again, post-COVID, I say, we are all in business. I told you about the companies that failed. There are countless companies that have failed with the, we should be having plan B, plan C, plan D. I'm saying not even plan B. You should have various plans in place and be ready to experiment in case plan A fails. Business plans, we are taught the business plans. We are taught about so many things, but we should have a very clear understanding that plan A, plan B, and plan C both come with the same end result. So have that flexibility. Most of us are happy in our own comfort zone. As you join, whether it is your company position that you are, whether it is the different, we should be very clear on the changes that are taking place outside us. And that is why I say, be very clear on having various plans. Look very good on paper, but it is how one implements the daily challenges. And daily challenges are different. Who thought today, 1 year back, and today, the business plans have changed so dramatically that it has changed. And today, even today, people don't know. Even today, people don't know that whether they should, they are still not sure what's going to happen in the next 3 years, 6 years, or in the next 3 months or 6 months, not sure, but have plan B, plan C, plan D. When you have various alternatives, it is easy to absorb the pressure that one goes around. The importance of courtesy and matters. I think I will say business schools should invest in this. They should invest in the courtesies and manners, because many of us become, we become surprised when we know of certain things. There is, mind you, there is etiquette. There is etiquette in everything. In the food that you eat, there is a digital. Today we have a digital etiquette. It is very important that you know what should you write. You know, when we are very obsessed with emails. One of the biggest ways of shedding away our responsibilities, writing emails, you know, rather than speaking, you know. And this is one of the bad ways I feel. Communication is very important. One of the things, once I remember for the first time, I wrote to my boss or to one of the customers in bold letters that this is not done. I did it in bold because my idea was that you know, the customer or the boss understands that this is of priority, but actually it sounded very rude. In the digital etiquette, you should not write in bold letters. If you write in bold letters, it means you are angry. If you write in bold letters, it means you know, that there is something you know, you are not showing a correct way. So there is a courtesy in manner. Your cutlery, you know, I remember I had never gone to a 5-star hotel. After I finished my after from IRM, we had a office party, and we were called in a 5-star hotel. And let me be very clear, 5-star hotel has certain rules, etiquettes, the dress that you wear, the cutlery that you use, the way meals, there are certain symbols. And tomorrow you will be going outside. You'll not be restricted to just one place in India. You'll be going all across the world. You know, I've traveled to more than 10 countries, and every country has almost some different rule. What you think is correct for you may not be correct for them, you know. So it is very important to understand. You should know, business school will teach, but I'm saying have those in before. Prepare very well, the courtesy, the manners, being on time, saying, you know, it is very important. And I'm saying manners and courtesies are so important as one progresses. People think on how you have dealt with them all throughout your corporate life. If you want to become one of the best, you have to find your community. I think it is very important thing to understand. And it is applicable to you when you are studying there. And it's also applicable to you when you are there with your, you know, other colleagues, you know. Surround yourself with those who have the same mission as you. It is very, very important that we, you know, be with like-minded people, be with people who think the same way. Because you know, when I was in college or when I was in the corporate circle, I had a certain set of people who were always critical of their bosses, always critical of the company benefits, always critical of what the company is not doing right, they are not doing wrong. They always had negative things to say. And then I had a very few people who were not bothered about all these things. They had something else to move forward. Their aim was not restrict to that benefits or anything. They wanted to move ahead. Surround yourselves with people who can add value to your life. Don't be with people, don't spend. You are tomorrow in a world, you cannot isolate yourselves and be with, you know, you at different times you will meet different people, but be with those people who can challenge you. Be with those people who criticize you. Be with those people who tell you, look, Oby, you're wrong, or look, you are not doing the correct way. It is very important that we have a feel-good factor with people. So if you want to become one of the best, find your own community. Emotional intelligence, I think this is very important. I have told you that today it is not just the one has to be sensitive to the people around you. You know, your IQ will take you in doing a certain thing, but if you do not have emotional, when you are managing a team, you will have to know the problems that they encounter in life. You may have sales guys under you who may be depressed. You may have sales guys who may have family problems. You may have a lot of people carry, you know, different things in their life, but one has to be empathetic, have to show a certain empathy. Leadership is about being humble. The last 1 year, it has been a tough job for a lot of HR. You know, HR, and at one time, HR was the most ignored but today HR has become such an important component in a lot of companies, because you have to tell no to them. You have to tell that, look, they are no longer required, or you have to tell them, look, what we take care of you, we are there with you. HR has become so important today. And I will say that emotional, you should have, when you join up the corporate ladder, if you're not humble, you will not go to places. You will stick into that same place. Be humble, be sensitive, have that emotional quotient. I will say this is one of the most things. I remember how much time in IRM and the colleges, we used to spend so much time on the textbooks and the different, Kotlers. They're all important. We have to read that, but I'm saying read many business books. I'm sure your library will be blessed with so many books that are available. They are the biggest investment that you can have. Read, whether it is 100-year-old book, 50-year-old book, business books. I'm saying business books, they are so relevant with the passage, each generation that you move. And also when the books release, many of times when we want to think, when we want to do something innovative or something different, you cannot just go with, of course, your wealth of experience matters, but at the same time, it is your knowledge of the books, and how we often ignore that. I'm saying when you are there, this is that you will get time now. At least read one book. Try to read one book every week or once in 2 weeks. At least have something. Start with at least one book 1 month. I'm sure IRM and a lot of other schools, you have case studies. You are so busy. You are so busy with a lot of things. But also read. Reading will give you the weapon of a lot of things. And a lot of us don't like reading. Lot of us, I used to not like reading, or I used to not like to go to the gym, or they are all important. They will hurt you, but in the process of hurting, you come out polished. You come out more better. You come with a better outlook. Last but not the least, I'm sorry I've taken a lot of time. One of the most important things I would like to say is that, and I would like to quote here APJ Abdul Kalam: love your job, but don't love your company. I think one of the biggest things that has taught me all throughout our life is that there is a value attached to everything that you do. It is no longer fashionable to spend more than 8 or 9 hours in corporate office or job. It is no longer, work is a never-ending process. What is important? Your family. What is important is, I am not a success model. I worked, my career graph, 3 years, I worked in India. I worked in 2 of the best corporate companies, that is Coca-Cola and South African breweries, Saad Miller. After that, I came to United Arab Emirates. I worked for 2 companies. In the last company that I worked for almost 12 years, and I built that company from scratch, headed a division. I headed a food trading division. I was also the marketing head. I'm sure you read that. But during COVID, I was fired. I was fired because we had losses coming in. And what surprised me is that my company that I was working, they did not look at the 12 years that I invested and built that. One fine day I was told I have to leave, because my cost is high. So it took me at least 12 years to realize this, that how important, because I had spent countless nights in building the company, being outside. I used to be always late, and my wife used to always say, "Why are you late today?" Because I used to not find time for my children much, and now I realize, and today, by God's grace, I'm getting the opportunity. I hope to get somewhere. At the same time, I'm at present advising and consulting companies about making a change. You will, if not, you don't get placed, you will start something of your own. That is for sure. not a problem. But what I'm saying is that the values is very important. Your family is so important. Your partner's support is so important. Being in the corporate life will get you addicted to a lot of things outside the family, whether it is those office parties, whether it is those trips, whether it is those sessions with your friends, whether it is, don't let life be me. Life is not about work. There is more to life, and you don't need to be like a machine. Mental health is very important. And mental health comes from there. One of the things I missed out, please, you are young people, you should take care of your health, because this is something that we ignore in 10 to 15 years as you pass the corporate circle. Be healthy. If you are healthy every day, just half an hour, invest in going out, walking, running. It is very, very important that your physical health is important and your mental health is important. Spend time, because your life cannot be replaced. You can be replaced, but your life cannot be replaced. This life is precious. Give the very best. After B schools, you're going to join a beautiful world where you have to fight your own battle, but fighting comes with a lot of things in place. Go and rise and shine. Thank you again. If you have any questions, or if not, no problem.
So, some students have the queries, and it would be a pleasure if you could solve them for us.
Okay.
Good afternoon, sir. As you said that today's generation mostly don't depend on others. They don't depend on delegation. So how can we overcome it and apply it?
You see, delegation, when I say, it is very important to understand that you tell your team that what are your strengths and why this role is important. Maybe there are certain tasks which you think you may know, but at the same time, it is very important to understand and tell the team that, look, you are much better than this. Rather than me, you are much better in this. You are much better in doing this work. I used to have a team of people many a times, because you cannot take everything by yourself. You are not a Superman. Let me be very clear. You think that you are a Superman when you do a lot of things, but there are certain things when you get a task, for example, when you are doing a project, you have certain things where your mathematical knowledge is, when analysis is required using numbers. There are certain things where people are more, they have a good vision of what needs to be done. Maybe you are not so great in that. Your team is more better. My accountant will do a far better job when I have to do and look for some numbers, because I will not, if I try to go inside it, I will. Your job is to make sure that the team runs on various fields. It is not on whether you be obsessed with minute details. I hope
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
You have to unmute yourself. I can't hear you. Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir. Thank you for the amazing session. The query that I have is that you talked about the job in office. So how can we deal with the office politics as a new recruit?
You see, as a new recruit, I think you should be very clear with your responsibilities. the problem in office politics is when we are a little obsessed with things that are not within your responsibility, you know. See, you also, I always feel that as a new recruit, we always want to, show to others what you are doing, you know. It is very important that, you know, the company that you work, they will give you a job description, they will give you a responsibility. Everyone gets a job responsibility. Be obsessed with only the responsibility that you have. Don't try to be a little louder. You know, if one of the things that I learned is that if you try to, you know, blow your own trumpet, look, I have done this, when others are not doing, you know, that's where the office talks and gossips happen. You do your work. Rather, I say be a low profile. Being low profile matters because companies look for what efforts and what results you're bringing. They don't look for being very loud. I am saying again, constructive criticism, anything you feel wrong, there is a way of telling why it is wrong, you know. So office politics is something that you cannot avoid. You have to, you know, go with your team to move forward. You cannot be alone in that company. You have to deal with different natures, different people. You know, some people you cannot bear, but they are a part of your team. Telling them in a very nice way, look, what you have said is correct and what you have not said is wrong. You know, always communicating with them without hurting them, it matters. I think be a low profile. I think as new people, your results matter, your job responsibilities matter. Don't go above it. Don't make it very loud. Don't make it very, you know, bombastic.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, as we talk about what B school doesn't teach us, so what do you think that one major skill we need to have to survive in corporate world?
Dealing with people, relationships, you know, I think one has to, this doesn't come overnight. It comes with, you have to be a psychologist, and you know, it doesn't mean that you have to take up a psychology degree. It is, I will say that people are very important in this whole process. You have to be sensitive to the people around you. When I say, it is not that being obsessed with what they are doing. What I'm saying is that you should have the emotional quotient for the employees under you. You should have the emotional context of dealing with your customers. You should have the context of dealing with you know, different people in the supply chain, right from the boss to the final customer to the different, you know, you will be meeting people in the production cycle. You know, when I was working in Coca-Cola, when I was there, if I think that I am the head of a certain place, I will get work done. No, I used to have a production in charge, a storekeeper. I used to have a driver. We used to have, you know, different customers, all were different natures. You know, you have to be sensitive to during, you know, at some, you know, there are certain months where seasonality makes a very difference. Some people are fasting. Some of your employees are fasting. Some of your employees are doing things away, what you are not doing, you know, because of their certain requirements they have to do. Be sensitive to customer demands as well as employee things. One has to be alert. I'm saying relationship, oh, it's not that you will earn overnight. It is a process. Have that knowledge, have that wisdom to know more about dealing with people and the people around you.
Thank you so much, sir, for the patient query handling. Now I would like to invite Dr. Ruchi Sisodia, Academic Coordinator, FMS IRM, for the vote of thanks.
I'm always available. My email is available. My number is available with Dr. Tijrani, and you can always ask any of the queries anytime without any hesitancy is all I would like to say. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Sir, that would be our pleasure too. Thank you so much for the wonderful and insightful session, sir. Your experience actually gave us insights about what exactly the practical world is all about. Though we all know that the classroom teaching is also important, but still the practical aspect which you have shown us, I'm sure that has actually helped our students a lot. So, sir, we would like to have you here in our campus as well once this pandemic gets over. Thank you so much for this wonderful session on behalf of FMS IRM.
Thank you. My regards to, again, director, to the directors of the faculty, and Professor Barbara Kangan. I thank all the people who have been there and the lovely young visionaries of tomorrow, students. It was a pleasure to talk to you, to know I'm always available. Share your thoughts. It's always, we also learn from a lot from the people around us, from the children around us. It will always help us a lot. And again, thank you for this opportunity given today. Thank you again. I can leave now, Shidani?